borrower is slave to the lender.
What's it like living with chains?
We have people that look like this come into our office all the time. They're going, dude, can you get me out?
Financial Peace University will help you break the chains of debt.
Well, today, as you can see here, and as you can tell, we are going to be talking about personal finances. We're talking about how well we as Christian people are handling dollars with sense. You know, Jesus had quite a bit to say about all of this. During his earthly ministry, Jesus talked a lot about money. In fact, did you know that Jesus talked about money more often than anything else? More often than faith, more often than love, more often than prayer, more often even than heaven and hell. Case in point, of the 38 parables that Jesus told that are documented in the Gospels, 12 of them deal with the issue of money. In other words, almost 1/3 of the stories that Jesus told that are found in the Bible talk about how money affects us and how we should manage the money we have. And our Lord's particular focus on money management is consistent with the rest of the Bible, where you will find over 800 verses in Scripture that reference personal finances. So the fact that Jesus in particular, and that the Bible as a whole, talk a lot about money matters shouldn't really surprise us, because money matters. It's a big deal. So much of our everyday life revolves around the use of money. So much time each week is consumed by us earning money, spending money, as well as making decisions about how to save it and invest it and give it away. Now, Jesus understood that we can't separate our finances from our faith. And therefore, every financial decision that you and I make, and there are many of them every day, every financial decision really is a spiritual decision. Charlemagne was the most powerful ruler in Europe during the Middle Ages. And he led numerous military campaigns to conquer more people and more lands. And Charlemagne had a hard time reconciling his warring ways with his Christian faith. He was concerned about the salvation of his soldiers, and he made sure that they were baptized before they went into battle. But he was troubled because he didn't think that faith and fighting went together. So whenever he conducted his mass baptisms by marching all of his soldiers into the river, he would instruct them to hold their swords high above their heads out of the water as they were being baptized. The whole body would be immersed of each one of these soldiers except for their arm that was holding their weapon. Charlemagne wanted his soldiers to serve God, but he apparently reasoned that an unbaptized sword and arm was still free to serve Charlemagne, to fight his wars, and to kill to build his empire. And this may seem silly to us, but I wonder how many Christians symbolically hold something else up other than a sword when they get baptized, like their wallet or their checkbook. For too many Christ followers, Jesus is invited to be, well, he's invited to be the Lord, the CEO of every aspect of their lives, perhaps, except money management. And their hand that holds their wallet and their checkbook remains unbaptized and uncommitted to the Lord. Our tendency is to want to separate our faith from our finances. We may even try to do that. But the Lord Jesus talks about money so much because he sees faith and finances as inseparable. In fact, there's a direct correlation between how we handle money and the condition of our spiritual lives. And I think one of the most reliable and revealing indicators of where I am in my relationship with my God is my financial records. If you had access to see them, you could tell a lot about my spirituality by looking at my financial records. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, someone here at church left their checkbook on the seat beside them as they left the auditorium. One of the ushers turned it in to me, said, "Why don't you see to it that this gets back to the person that it belongs to?" I didn't know who it belongs to, so I opened up the checkbook, of course, to see a blank check so I could see the name on it so I knew who to give it back to. And I knew the people, so I did get it back to them. Now, I want to assure you that I only looked at the check. It would have been interesting to look through the check register, huh? And to see, it would have told me a lot about where their priorities are and where they spend their money. Honest, I didn't do that. But you could tell a lot about the current level of a spiritual maturity of a Christian by taking a look at their checkbook entries, their credit card statements, their investment portfolios, their tax forms, their charitable giving receipts. Because every financial decision has spiritual ramifications. No wonder Jesus talks so much about money and warned people in his teaching that money is dangerous. According to Jesus, money and the things money can buy have great potential to replace God in our lives. Money is dangerous stuff because it easily becomes a substitute God for us. Money has this seductive power, this deceptive power that charms us into thinking that it can do for us what only God can do. Only God can give meaning to our lives, can give significance and security to our lives. Only God can give ultimate fulfillment to our lives, but somehow we come to think with the rest of the world that money can do for us what God can do. And so it competes with God for first place in our lives, and it vies for this supreme attention and affection that only God deserves. Money can easily become our idol, and Jesus knew that. And so he put in the plainest terms in Luke 16:13, no one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and despise the other, or you will love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. Notice that Jesus didn't say you should not serve God and money. That would be true enough. But he says you cannot serve God and money. In other words, Jesus is saying it's an impossibility. It's an either-or choice. You can't have two number ones in your life. Either God is up there or something else. And for many people, and I think it's no less true today in 21st century suburbia, that money can easily become number one in our life. You can only serve one master, Jesus says, and that's why money is so dangerous, because it's always competing with God to take over first place in our life. We read a verse like that and we need to ask ourselves, which is number one for us? Is God higher in our life than money and the things money can buy? Maybe the way to ask it is this: which one do you have a stronger desire for more? Do you have a stronger desire for more of God or more of money? It's a question we need to constantly ask ourselves. Jesus has more to say about money management in the verses just prior to his call here to give exclusive allegiance to God rather than money. Jesus reminds us, in fact, in verses 10 and 12 of this same chapter, that he expects his followers to be faithful in their finances. We've been talking a lot this last few weeks about following Jesus more. And that certainly includes being faithful with the money that we have right now. The resources that you currently have may seem small to you, but Jesus says that faithfulness in small things really is a big thing. Here's how he puts it: whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. It's a character measure. What we do with what we presently have in our possession is a test. And for God, it reveals our heart. And what we're doing with what we have right now demonstrates what we would do even if we did have more. I think sometimes our tendency is to drift into this kind of if only syndrome. That is, I would be more faithful with money. I would be more generous with money if only I made $10,000 more a year. Oh, if only I won the publisher clearing steakhouse sweepstakes. You know, not steakhouse. It's getting close to lunchtime. You know where my mind is. Publishers clearinghouse sweepstakes. Oh, if only I won that. Boy, you'd see how faithful and generous I would be with money. Oh, if only I were Bill Gates. Man, what a way I would handle money if I had money like Bill Gates. But according to Jesus, the real issue is not what you would do, not what you would do with lots more money. God's looking at what you are doing with the money that you already have, that He's already entrusted to you. The real issue is not what you would do if suddenly you had $1 million thrown in your lap. The real issue is what are you doing with the 5s and the 10s and the 20s that are in your wallet or purse and the 100 or the hundreds that are in your checking account. Jesus goes on, so if you've not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will trust you with true riches? And if you have not been trustworthy with someone else's property, who will give you property of your own? What's Jesus getting at here? He's saying that if we fail the test of being faithful with the money and possessions that God has already entrusted to our care, why should we expect or trust God to give us more? And certainly more of the true riches and property of our own. And what does he mean by that? True riches and property of our own. There Jesus is taking a more long-range perspective, and he's referring to heavenly reward. He's saying if God can't count on us to handle the material resources he's given us to manage here and now on earth, we're going to forfeit opportunity in the hereafter in heaven to experience greater ministry responsibilities and greater spiritual blessings. It all connects together. So Jesus is saying be faithful with what you've got right now here on earth. It's God's way of training you for bigger and better things. Now before we move on, notice here in verse 12 that Jesus speaks of being faithful with someone else's property. What does that mean, someone else's property? Well, this leads us into our next observation that we want to make here. The money and possessions in our possession are indeed someone else's property. The Bible teaches that whatever we have, it's really not our stuff. It's God's stuff. Everything we have belongs to God. Psalm 24:1, the earth is the Lord's and most everything in it? No. The earth is the Lord's and everything in it. That means that each one of us here today owns exactly the same amount of money and possessions. We all owe the same amount, own the same amount, zero. Because just because something is in our possession doesn't mean that it is our possession. What we might think we own is really not our own. It's God's. And since everything we have belongs to God, this means that everything we have comes from God. You know, in Deuteronomy 8, Moses is worried about the people of Israel who are about to enter the promised land with all of its abundant resources and increased opportunity for material prosperity. Moses is really worried. The people are about ready to go in and experience some good life like they've never experienced before, and he's worried that the good life will be bad for them because it will make them forgetful and proud and self-sufficient. Verses 17 to 18, you may say to yourself, hey, it's my power and the strength of my hands that has produced this wealth for me. But remember, Moses says, the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth. Do you know that today? Do you understand that today? That any wealth you have, God has given to you. He has given you the ability to produce it. We're not self-made, self-sufficient people. We got to get rid of that me and my mentality that Moses describes here. My strength, my ability, my hands have produced this wealth for me. What I have is mine. I'm entitled to keep it for myself because I've earned it with my brains, my talent, and my hard work. But real Christ followers will remind themselves, where did our brains come from? And where did our talent come from? And where does even the strength to get out of bed to go to work each day come from? People of Village Church, the reason you and I have any money at all and the stuff that money can buy is not because we've done it on our own, but because God God has blessed us with bodies that are healthy enough to work, with minds that can think, with hands that are skilled, and with jobs that provide us the opportunity to earn an income. God even gives your employer the money to pay you with. The earth is the Lord and everything in it, and that means He has entrusted some of His worldwide resources to the company that you work for, and God channels it to you through your employer. Your employer is not the source of your income, God is. There may be someone else's signature on your paychecks, but God's name is invisibly stamped on every paycheck we receive. God is the source, and He's the owner of it too. So how about you? When you make decisions about money and about the stuff in your possession, do you make decisions as if you own these things, or as if God owns them, that they belong to Him? Because they do. If you're a follower of Jesus, then you must realize that you're a manager, not an owner. We all manage stuff that belongs to someone else. A few years ago, my wife and I went to Mount Vernon in Virginia. You know that that's George Washington's home and plantation. And the estate includes a caretaker's house. That's what they call it, the caretaker's house. And this is where the guy lived who was responsible to take care of Mr. Washington's property and possessions and business while he was away fighting the British in the Revolutionary War or away running the country as its first president. Their caretaker's job really wasn't all that complicated. Simply put, he was expected to make wise decisions regarding how to manage George's stuff so that when George returned to Mount Vernon, he would be pleased with how his stuff had been managed and used. Likewise, we all are caretakers. We're caretakers under God. And He's entrusted you and me to manage a portion of His earthly estate. And someday, when Jesus returns, we are going to be held accountable, each one of us, for how well we have used all of what God has entrusted to our care. Jesus reminded us of this coming day of reckoning more than once, particularly in His parables about money. He would often talk about the day coming when the managers would need to give an account. An example of that is the beginning of Luke 16. Jesus told His disciples there was a rich man representing God, whose manager, that's you, that's me, was accused of wasting his possessions. So He called him in and asked him, "What is this I hear about you? Give an account of your management." Now, whether you and I are wasting God's possessions or not, we're all going to be called in someday to give an account. Jesus says the same thing in other parables when He's talking about a good manager. A few weeks ago, we talked about the ultimate medal ceremony, the coming day when all of us as Christ followers will stand before the judgment seat of Christ and we'll give an account of how we lived our lives here on earth, and Jesus will reward us according to what we have done here on earth in our earthly bodies. Well, do you realize that a large part of what Jesus will review on that day is our finances and how we managed the money and the possessions that He had trusted under our care? Someday you will have a personal appointment to stand before Jesus Christ, your Savior and your Lord. You will give account of your life as I will. And He's going to look, among other things, at whether or not we were wise or wasteful in the way we managed His stuff. We're managing someone else's property. It's God's. And so every financial decision we make really is a spiritual decision with lasting ramifications. It will affect our lives even into eternity. And here's the deal. Salvation is free. Praise God for that. Salvation is free, but discipleship is costly. Our forgiveness of sin, our entrance to heaven is a free gift. It doesn't cost us anything because Jesus paid it all. He assumed the full cost. But following Jesus during this earthly life until we get to heaven will cost us everything. Salvation is free, but discipleship is costly. Jesus expects us to transfer the ownership of all that is in our possession right back to the rightful owner, the God who gave it all to us in the first place. Again, following Jesus more requires that we relinquish the rights of an owner and that we accept the responsibilities of a manager. Look at this challenging verse in Luke 14. It may be one of the most challenging verses in the Bible for rich Christians like you and me. And by the way, folks, every one of us here are really, really, really rich by global standards. Compared to everybody in the world, practically all of us are in the top 1% in world income. And so Jesus has this to say to us, especially those of us who can easily get tripped up by money and the things money can buy. In the same way, those of you who do not give up everything you have cannot be my disciple. Those of you who do not give up everything you have cannot be my disciple. Jesus isn't talking just to disciples and saying, this is how you ought to live. He's talking to people who are thinking about being his disciple. He's saying, don't even sign up. Don't even come to me for salvation unless you expect to be a disciple that relinquishes your rights to what you have. You cannot be my disciple unless you give up everything you have. Well, Jesus is a real radical. He's a radical when it comes to personal money management. Give up everything you have or you cannot be my disciple. That's not Pastor Todd talking. That's Jesus. Now, it's crucial to note that Jesus did not mean here that his followers must give away everything, as if he expects us to be penniless and homeless and naked and hungry. Of course not. Jesus knows that we all need food in our stomachs and clothes on our backs and a roof over our heads. Rather, Jesus is saying that following him is not a matter of giving away everything, but it is a matter of giving up everything. There is a difference. Giving up everything means that we no longer consider the things in our possession as solely our possession. We give up ownership of them. When Jesus enters our lives, he doesn't come in just as a guest or a tenant. We don't say to Jesus, okay, I want you to save me. I want the forgiveness of sin. I want the ticket to heaven, but just come and live in my life, but I'll still be in charge. No, he expects to be more than a tenant, more than a guest in your life. He deserves and expects to be the landlord. And he wants us to transfer the title deed of our life over to him. Interestingly, the word translated in our English Bibles as give up everything you have, is a word that is used 5 other times in the New Testament. It's a word that means things that are going to go away. And all the other times describe people who are waving goodbye, who are saying goodbye. This word, in its essence, means goodbye. So Christ's perspective on personal money management is saying goodbye to being a landlord and saying hello to being a caretaker. Say goodbye to ownership. I own it all, Jesus says. Have you given it back to me? Jesus is calling you and me not to give away everything that we have, but to give up control of it. It means that we can no longer think as owners, but we have to think like managers if we're really serious about being a Christian. And so as you make financial decisions each day, and as I do too, the question we need to ask ourselves is, now let's see, what do I want to do with my money? What do I want to do with my money? Rather, the question is, Lord, what is it that you want me to do with your money? Jesus has the right to tell us how to earn and to spend and to save and to give away his stuff. I think many times in the Christian church, we get this idea that when we come to the worship service and the offering time comes, and we put our money in the offering plate, that's the money that belongs to God. And we give it to him. But then we say, now, God, the rest of what I have that I haven't put in the offering plate, it's none of your business what I do with that. That's mine. And that's the wrong attitude. That's the wrong perspective. Jesus is just as interested in, and Jesus holds us accountable just as much for what we do with the money we don't put in the offering plate as the money that we do put in the offering plate. Because it all belongs to him. And we're called to take good care of all that he's entrusted to us. Now, the leadership teams here at Village Church have been thinking a lot about our job description, the job description that Jesus has given us. Our job is disciple making. Our job is to make sure that the people who enter this building, like you, don't just become churchgoers. We need to help them become Christ followers. We need to provide ample opportunity to make sure that you are a disciple in the making, because that's our job, to make disciples. Here's how Jesus put it: church, make disciples by teaching them to obey everything that I have commanded. That's our job, to teach you to obey everything that Jesus has commanded, because that's what a follower of Jesus does. Now, if we're not doing that as a church, we're really not doing our job. And so if Jesus talked about money management more than anything else, then we'd better provide lots of biblically oriented training, biblically based training on how to manage God's stuff. Because our job is to teach people everything that He's commanded, and Jesus talked about money more than anything else. But notice Jesus isn't just satisfied if we provide general training, however biblical it might be, on how to faithfully manage all that God has placed under our care, because He didn't say, teach them everything I've commanded. He said, teach them to obey everything I've commanded. Jesus doesn't want you to know what His teaching was, just to know it. He wants you to live it. He wants me to live it, including how we manage our money, how we give up everything and transfer ownership over to Him. He wants us to obey that, to put it into practice. And so the church here has said, how can we best provide that kind of training on money management that will not only be biblically based, but it will include helpful and specific action steps that are doable and relevant to real life in 21st century America? The leadership of Village Church is therefore convinced that if we're going to help people follow Jesus more, that's our job description, our church should be providing training in personal finances that is both biblical and practical. If we don't do this, we're not really fully doing our job. And that's why we are unveiling today an opportunity for the people of Village Church to receive some specific biblical training in money management. Training that is far more comprehensive than anything else we've ever provided. It's called Financial Peace University. It was alluded to in the video that we saw earlier. It's a 9-week video course that will be offered here at Village Church in over 30 different venues on and off campus right after the holidays. Between January 13th and March 17th, in Village Church classrooms throughout the week and small groups, Financial Peace University will be available all 7 days of the week, because we intend to make it as convenient for you as possible to choose a meeting time that meshes well with your own personal weekly calendar. The video training is done by Dave Ramsey, the man that you saw earlier in the video. He's a Christian author and speaker and radio talk show host, and the training that Dave provides week by week will be biblically based, but it will also be very practically oriented. It will also be fun and entertaining and easy to understand. It covers the kinds of decisions and challenges that we all face every day financially. It will include issues such as budgeting and spending and credit cards and credit card debt and saving and mortgages and retirement planning, saving for college for your kids. The course includes helpful tools and recommended steps that can guide participants toward the financial peace that results from financial freedom. I want to say to you that FPU is not just for those who happen to be struggling financially. It can transform and revolutionize somebody's financial life and financial dealings if they are struggling. But everybody will personally benefit from this. Even if you're financially stable, there is so much to be learned. I'm pretty financially stable. But as I've watched this course, there are so many practical things that I've learned that help me now. And I'm saying, I wish somebody would have told me this when I was 20 years old. And I'm finding that what I'm learning will not only help me, it's going to help me better assist my kids and my grandkids as we have those kinds of conversations, and other people in my sphere of influence, and the same will be true of you. Now, we realize that only the Bible is the perfect resource. Financial Peace University is not the Bible. It's not perfect, but it is an excellent and effective practical tool that helps us apply the biblical principles and commands. And those of you who take the course, and I hope all of you will consider that, you probably won't come to the same conclusions and answers regarding how God is personally leading you to handle the money He's put in your care. You may not come to the same conclusions and answers that somebody else does, but we all need to grapple with the same questions because we're all stewards, managers of what God has given us. This is not a cult. So if you take this class, we're not going to hover over you and say, how much money did you make? How much debt do you have? What kind of decisions are you making this week? We'll tell you what to do. It's not that kind of course at all. It's simply your opportunity to watch these tapes and then on your own apply these principles to your life and to your finances. Now, there is some cost involved, but the church is going to help you with that because we believe in this so much and we don't want anyone to exclude themselves because they don't think they can afford it. We're confident that the benefits that you derive from this course, financially and spiritually, will far outweigh the cost involved. So, we're hoping that today, or over the next few weeks as we unveil this, you will avail yourselves of the opportunity to sign up for the course. Again, it's not till after the first of the year, but over the next several weeks, you will have the opportunity to sign up and prepare yourselves to receive this training. More on that in just a few minutes. The people of Village Church, this is an exciting time. We're going to join together this year and learn more about handling dollars with sense. Now, we've offered this course to a handful of people over the last few years in electives, and people have benefited greatly from that. In fact, I would like to ask Heather Robbins if she would come up today. She's already taken Financial Peace University, and I'd like for her to take just a few moments to share with you how God used FPU to make a difference in her life and her finances. Thank you, Heather.
Well, hi, my name is Heather Robbins, and I've attended VCG for about 13 years now. Before taking the Financial Peace University class, I would frequently stay awake at night worrying about my finances. I felt trapped in a deep hole, and I had no idea how to turn things around. In spite of my best efforts, things seemed to continue to get worse. Because of my credit card debt and other expenses, I wasn't tithing regularly. The numbers just didn't work with my monthly expenses. With my thoughts consumed by worry and money, it didn't leave much time to reflect on the goodness of God or the freedom and peace that life in Christ brings. I certainly didn't feel free or peaceful. My brother started talking about Financial Peace University and would occasionally drop not so subtle hints that it might be helpful for me. In my head, I thought, sure, it works for you and your family, but you have no idea what amount of debt I'm hiding under. With few expectations, and to prove to my brother that it wouldn't really work for me, I signed up for the Financial Peace University class at VCG in September of 2010. What a difference taking this class has made in my life, my finances, and my sleep. Making a change in money management was a huge undertaking for me, and I found that participating in the class with other VCG attenders was a very helpful part in making this change. Many of the class members were going through some similar struggles, and it helped to support each other in the beginning stages of making these changes. Seeing someone from the class in the church hallway and asking, "How's it going?" was exactly what helped me make it through these difficult times when I just wanted to give up. One of the things I really appreciated about the class was the acknowledgement that people come from different situations and different priorities in their lives and families. As a single person living away from my family, my priorities, like having money for travel to visit my amazing, adorable nieces and nephews, were likely different from the other families that were represented in the class. I love that it was up to me, with God's help, to decide my priorities and then create a plan in order to make that happen. While I used to look at a monthly budget as a constraint that I would never do, I began to see it as a way for me to decide where money should go. It took away the guesswork and fear, the method of just crossing my fingers and hoping the numbers would work out that month. I began to feel more confident and at peace as I developed a plan to follow. I definitely wouldn't say that I have arrived, but I'm no longer consumed by debt, and I feel in charge of and responsible for where I choose to spend money. Some of the practical steps I took felt scary, but also liberating. Paying off the balance on my credit cards was something I didn't think I could ever do. But I made the last payment to the last card in January, and I still want to do a happy dance every time I think about it, but I won't. I marvel at the way God used circumstances in my life, including a job layoff in 2011, to refine me and the way that I manage money. The road to financial peace was rocky, but definitely worth the struggle. Taking the Financial Peace University class radically changed the way I manage what God has entrusted to me. It truly has brought peace in my finances and joy in my giving. So I encourage you, no matter who you are or what your financial situation looks like, good, bad, or somewhere in between, to get signed up for Financial Peace University. It will change your life for the better. Thank you.
Well, Financial Peace University, it's wonderful hearing stories like Heather's, and every time I do, I'm encouraged. I'm Jim Young, pastor to adult ministries here at Village, and as Heather mentioned, she took it a couple years ago, and we've been able to offer Financial Peace University on a limited basis, a course here, a course there, but now we have the opportunity to do it and offer it for the whole church to participate. And it's our hope and dream and prayer that as many individuals and families as possible would join in this venture. Jason's going to talk to you a little bit about the nuts and bolts.
Thanks, Jim. So I'm sure that many of us are wondering, what exactly is Financial Peace University? You know, some of us may even be skeptical about it, you know, because we see these commercials on TV and hear commercials on the radio about debt consolidation and reverse mortgages and whatnot. So we want to be clear about what Financial Peace University is not. And what it is not a debt consolidation program. It is not some high-interest loan. It is not a quick fix. It's not some pyramid scheme that you're going to be asked to join. It's not a reverse mortgage, and it's not even an investment program. It's none of that. Financial Peace is not some scheme that Village Church has bought into and we're trying to make money. It has nothing to do with that. Instead, Financial Peace is all about your decision making. It's all about your responsibility, your perspective about money, and it's about your confidence to handle it wisely. And what FPU aims to do is to help you manage money God's way. Did you know that there are over 800 verses in the Bible that either are directly about money or can be applied to your personal finances? Yeah, there's a lot in there. There's a lot of biblical wisdom that Dave Ramsey seeks to draw out and teach with. You will never be asked to reveal any of your personal financial information. You will never be asked to put up any more money than the registration cost for the class itself, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But here are some of the other details and nuts and bolts about the course. It lasts 9 weeks. I know that some of you who've been through FPU before, it was 13 weeks when you did it. They just redid the whole curriculum, so now it's a 9-week course. We're going to start it the week of January 13th, and it's going to go for those 9 weeks and end the week of March 17th. And there's dozens and dozens of class times. There's over 25 small groups that have already decided we're doing this in our group. And as of right now, there's over 20 other open groups, groups that meet on Sunday morning, and as Todd mentioned, throughout the week. And we'll get to that again in just a little bit. What do you do in the class? Well, it's DVD-based. It's a video curriculum. The first half is taught by Dave Ramsey. There's Dave right there. Hey, okay, go away, Dave. All right, and then there's group discussion and activities for the rest of the time. So that's what happens in those classes. Now, there's probably two other big questions that a lot of us have. How much does it cost? And what do I get? Like, what comes in the lifetime membership? Jim, why don't you tell everybody what that's about?
Yeah, there is a cost. And first of all, it's one kit per household, one kit per family, all right? You see a number of the things that come with it. And it's a lifetime membership that you get. You can go to to a site year after year after year and get updated resources and be able to download different resources as well. If you went as an individual to the site to purchase this kit, it costs you $129. Okay? We have it as a church where we are offering it for $89 through Village Church of Gurnee. Now, we realize that even $89 can be a stretch at times in this economy. And so we as a leadership have set aside several $1,000s to be able to come alongside and to help individuals and families. And so if $89 is a stretch, we have a $49 partial scholarship that is available for you. Really, the bottom line, we do not want anyone at Village Church of Gurnee not to participate in this because of finances. So if even $49 is a stretch, I would encourage you to talk to one of the pastors or ministry directors here at Village, and we will make sure that we can work it out with you for you to be able to take this course. Bottom line, we want everybody to be able to have the opportunity to get this type of training that many of us would wish we had when we were in our early 20s. Could save us a lot of grief, couldn't it? So, any of those discussions with ministry leaders or pastors about if you need a scholarship, that's private. You'll never be asked about that. Now, the $49 one, you can sign up online and get that and just click the box and you're done. There's nothing more to answer about that. Jason, you're going to tell us about how to sign up, aren't you?
Yeah, and just to be clear, if you can do the $89 rate, God bless you. That means that scholarship money can go towards somebody else. But if that's just where you are and you need to do the $49, just do it. It's a no questions asked thing. When you register, just choose that option. Nobody's going to follow up with you and say, why didn't you pay the $89? Like, that's between you and the Lord and your family to decide. So speaking of registration, there's two main ways to do it. One, we've set aside room 207 down the hall here. It's just past the coffee shop on the right. We're calling it FPU Central. And every week for the next several weeks, there'll be people in there, many of whom have been through the class themselves and can tell you what it's like, tell you all about it. We have loads of resources in there, FAQ sheet, a sheet that tells you about the course schedule, what you're actually going to talk about in each 9 weeks, an information brochure. You can pick that up. And let's say, you know someone who doesn't go to Village. Maybe they're, talk about building bridges to the unchurched. Maybe there's an unchurched friend or a family member in your life who might benefit from this. We even got a couple of resources where you can, if I can get it off the podium here, we got an invite card that's made especially for them, and we even have a preview DVD. Now, this is not for you. Okay, this is for people outside of our church we might invite. It has a sample session on here and a couple other informative videos. So that's one way to do it, is to go to room 207 and register on paper. And hear me on this. Just register. Even if you don't pay today, even if you don't choose your group that you're going to be in today, you have until December 9th to do that. Just get on our radar so we know that you're interested, you're going to do this, so we can order a kit for you. We're going to have to order hundreds of these membership kits here. So just get on our radar. If you need a couple weeks to decide what group you're going to do, or you need a couple months to save up the $49 or $89, that's okay. Just go ahead and register for it, and you can come back later and let us know what group you're going to do or make your payment. The other way is to get on our website, vcgurnee.org, and if you put a /FPU on there, it'll take you straight to this page right here. All right, this is what it looks like. You see Dave Ramsey's mug right there, and over here on the side you have different resources, some of the PDFs, course schedule, the brochure that's available, and then right here at the bottom you see this button called Register. So we're going to click on that, and it's going to take you to this page where you get on what's called Access VCG. This is our online registration tool. So you look down here and you have a button that says Login. If you attend Village Church regularly, then you log in here, okay? So we're going to hit that button, all right? And here's your login screen. If you can't remember your username and your password, there's a retrieval right there. You can get your password and username that way. Or if you discover, oh, I've never set up a a thing, then you can go and log and register right here. So we're going to enter our stuff and go to the next page. All right, and this is what it looks like when you open up Access VCG. Lots of stuff. There's some calendar stuff over here. But what you want to look at is right here in this section. I want to view, it says available classes, available registrations, my giving history, available small groups, my complete profile. We want to click on available registrations, not available classes. Everyone say registrations. Registrations, not the other word, not classes. So we're going to click on that. You come to this page, you'll see everything that you could register for right now. You got Wednesday Night Kids Club, some men's classes. Down here at the bottom is Financial Peace University. Now, we might add some other items to this list for other things to register, so FPU might not always be at the bottom. But just look for Financial Peace right here. You can either click on the name or come over here and click on Register. We're going to click right here, and it goes to this page. It gives you some additional information. It reminds you only need one kit per household, the different rates you can use. You can select. We're going to click register, go to the next page, a little bit more information, read that, click next. Okay, and over here you have everyone in your family listed. And you see right here, there's me, Jason, and Melanie. There's our 4-year-old, there's our 2-year-old. They're not going to take Financial Peace with us, okay? So I'm not going to register them. But you see here, this pull-down menu, I've selected the $89 rate for myself. And you see this one, it says kit purchased by spouse, all right? You only need one kit purchase per family. So if I were to put another $89 here, it would double the price. So you only need one kit per family, all right? And that would include if you have, say, a college student living at home who wants to go through the class with you, or your high school student can go to your ABF for those 9 weeks or go to your small group. One price for the whole household, okay? And so the $49 is also an option in that pull down. Okay, so then you'll hit next, and then this is how you tell us what group you're going to be in, all right? When you hit this pull-down menu, there's like 20-something options so far. We'll be adding more, and as groups fill up, we'll take them off of there. And so there's an option, if you're going to do this in your small group, we still need you to register. Just tell us you're going to do it in your small group, and there's an option for that. And then if you do that, just tell us whose small group you're in, and if you're doing a class that has childcare, we need your kids' names, ages, and if they have allergies. There is also an option on there, if you don't know what class you're going to take yet, you select that. I don't know what class I'm going to take yet. You can get back on later and put that in, or you can walk down to Central and tell us what that is. So you do that, and you'll hit next, which is off the screen here. This is your payment total, $89. Hit next. Okay, kind of breaks it down a little more for you. You see it's got 89 by my name, nothing by Melanie's. Hit next. All right, and this is where you choose your payment method. You can pay online and walk through that whole process where you enter your bank card number or whatever. I didn't choose that because I didn't want you to see my credit card information. So I chose pay in person, pay by mail. And so, you can come down to FP Central, make your payment, stop by the office one day, mail a check in with a letter, let us know, and we'll get all that information collated for you. You hit next, and it gives you confirmation screen. Yay, you're done. 12 easy steps, and you can do it online.
12 easy steps. Hey, why make it easy when it can be difficult, huh? Well, the last 4 weeks here on Sunday morning, we've been talking about building bridges to the unchurched. And really, finances is a felt need in our community. And so we are encouraging you to consider inviting friends, neighbors, co-workers, family members to be a part of this study. They can join you in the course that you're going to. And in fact, they are not only welcome to join you in the course, they can even take advantage of the partial scholarship as well. So consider who you might want to involve. Pastor Todd?
Thanks, Jim and Jason. You will have the next several weeks here at Village Church to go to FPU Central, or to handle that however you wish. And I just simply want to reiterate again that the church is not in this because we're going to make anything off this. We won't at all. In fact, we're investing thousands of dollars to make it easier for you to go. We hope that you'll take advantage of this opportunity. I think as we all go through it together, for those who are financially struggling, it makes it a little bit easier for them. They're not kind of singled out. For those of us who are financially stable, it's going to help us become an even better steward. And what a great thing to journey through this together as a church. You have several weeks to cluster your money to be able to join up for this if you need to plan ahead. I want to say one other thing that's very important. The leaders of Village Church so believe that this will be helpful to our people in these economic, distressful times, not only spiritually but financially. We so believe in every one of us having an opportunity to take this course that we're saying to you, even if the $49 situation doesn't work for you and you don't want to go for an additional scholarship to get it down even more, we are going to encourage you to take some of the money over the next several weeks that you would have put in the offering plate to Village Church and use that money to pay for your registration. We so believe in this that if you need to divert some of your giving to Village Church temporarily to be able to take care of that cost, do it. We want you to be a part of this journey with us. Let's stand together. I want to close in prayer. God, thank you that in your Bible, in your word, it is so clear to us your expectations, the principles that we have there about being good managers of what you have entrusted to our care. God, forgive us for ways that we've been careless and unfaithful in that regard. And I pray that more and more you will help the people of Village Church to honor and please you in the way we live, including the area of our financial management. And God, forgive us for those ways in which we've fallen short. God, I pray that you will bless the people of Village Church as we enter this journey together. And I pray that you will not only help us as a people to follow you more, particularly in the way that we use the monies that you've entrusted to us, but that you will truly draw more people from the community in through this felt need. That as they experience financial peace through the taking of this course, they will come to know the Prince of Peace, who can give them all that they need now and for eternally. God, we give our lives, we give our church to you.